What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys all for tuning in. This video tonight is going to be on Ark of Osiris that we had today, which is Sunday, the 22nd of November. We played today at 10 a.m. Eastern, which was 15 UTC. And let's just take a look who we played real quick. We played the Karma Killers. And it started out as a really great match. We ended up taking the victory today, which was great. We have 6 weeks in a row, I believe, that we've won. So that's 3 months straight of winning. Since we've been in the New Kingdom, actually, we haven't lost yet. I'm going to knock on wood just to be safe here. But yeah, so today's video is going to be on Ark of Osiris match that we played today, this Sunday morning. For those of you guys that are new here or do not know me, my name is Svet. I play the mobile game Rise of Kingdoms on Apple and Android. And yeah, I've been playing for a little bit over a year at this point. Love Ark of Osiris, love KVK, and love just sharing information about those two events and any other events that go on in the game. Ark of Osiris is definitely one of my most favorite parts about Rise of Kingdoms. You get to play every 2 weeks at a minimum, and if you are in league, you get to play every single week, so it's a blast. Really reminds me of kind of like a real-time strategy, more of like a classic real-time that's not so much in a grand strategy, kind of like the whole game is itself, but more of like a StarCraft match, if any of you guys remember StarCraft. Absolutely love it, and will continue to try to be on a team every time I get an opportunity. If you guys like this kind of stuff and like the game Rise of Kingdoms just as much as me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out content a few different times a week on all different stuff that's going on, whether it's Ark of Osiris, KVK, any other events going on in the kingdom and in our alliance. So hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all the support, guys, and I will keep putting out content for you to check out. So as I'm getting started here, as you can see on the screen, I am just basically getting all of my proper equipment on the right commanders. So I am moving stuff around because I have commanders that are only playable in a kingdom that is 310 days or older. So I'm in a kingdom that's younger. I think we are at, I think we're about 215 days or 220 days or something like that. Let me check this commander and see. Yeah, so I still have 91 days and 12 hours before I can use my Guan, my Attila, my Takeda, my Leonidas, and my Ramesses. So those 5 commanders I cannot use for another 90-ish days in the normal kingdom. The good news is, though, I can use them in stuff like Ark of Osiris. Any Soroli events, I can use them as well. So the point of that is that I have to switch all of my equipment around every time I play Ark, which I know a lot of my Alliance members do as well. It's definitely just part of it. You know, we have some of these newer commanders. We came from from older kingdoms, so we've had the ability to get some of these OP commanders, but we can't use them normally. So we put our best equipment on the commanders we can use in our own kingdoms, and then switch it all around when we go into Ark. So I have to switch my infantry, my archers, and my cav stuff. All of it, I got to switch it around. Aethelflaed's the only one that keeps all of her equipment on at all times. So that's nice. I don't have to switch hers around, but I do have 2 sets of infantry. One's like a premier one for me, like tippy top line. The other one's kind of just average. So I move some stuff around every single time. Another thing you saw there as well is I popped the 50% expansion. So it is mandatory in my alliance and in this Ark team to pop a 50% expansion as well as a 10% defense buff. So the 50% you kind of get over time, and you can buy those as well, but I don't really think I've ever bought one. I think I just build them up over time. You get them in certain events and stuff like that. And then I also buy the 10% defense for 750 gems every time I have to play Ark as well. Both of those things are mandatory in my Ark team in Watch It Burn, WIB. Oh yeah, by the way, so my alliance is WIB, and we play in 1846 as our kingdom. So it's mandatory to do those 2 things. We are a very serious group of Ark players and just Rise of Kingdom players. So we make it mandatory to do some of those more serious, intense things to ensure that we have a good game in Ark and that we have the highest chance of winning this game as well. And so what you're seeing on the screen now is we're kind of just getting into the battlegrounds here. And what I am doing is looking through our opponents. I remember looking through these guys and thinking they're pretty well rounded. You know, we were outpowered by them by, I want to say, like 100 million or something like that. So we're already outpowered by them, and then I didn't see any mega whales. So I talk about this in my other ARC videos. Mega whales are obviously great because it means that they most likely have really any commanders in the games to choose from, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a huge advantage when you have one mega whale that's taking up such a huge percentage of the total power for the team. So I didn't see any like 300 or 400 million player in their squad. I saw a lot of 80s, I saw a lot of 90s, I saw a lot of 100s. So I was kind of thinking, okay, they're looking pretty good, very well rounded in terms of how they got to their total power. Thinking, okay, this is going to be a pretty good match. This is different for me than my previous videos on Ark of Osiris because I am actually not on a structured team. This time I am on the middle team. So it's a little bit different in the sense that I am not actually going to be rallying anything with my Attila Takeda or anybody else for that matter. So it's definitely a little bit different for what you guys are used to watching from me in terms of Ark of Osiris. But it was a blast nonetheless. It was kind of confusing for me for a little bit, like as we were getting going and stuff. But it was still a great match for me. I put up some good points. I got to do a little bit of farming, which is pretty rare. But I actually had a blast doing that. That was a good time. And so yeah, it was a little bit different. I am on the middle team or ARC team this round rather than being on one of the sides and focused on the structures. So like I said, a little bit different, but I kind of got the hang of it, you know, about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes in and was more comfortable. And so as you can see, we've got markers all over the field. We've got everybody going to where they're supposed to be going. We've got people that have T1 cav marches going to our obelisk. The enemy's doing the same thing. We've got rallies that are targeted on the opposite side of the field, whether it's an obelisk or one of those outposts. What we're trying to do there is just teleport some troops across the map faster. You see a lot of this with the more serious and the more talented teams is they will rally, opposite structures, like I said, whether it's an obelisk or an outpost or something like that. And then they'll break the rally to get their troops upfield faster. And that way that they can have a better chance to kind of fight open field and not have to deal with, the just regular march speed if you were just marching by yourself, because rallies are going to go faster. You really see that in almost every round. People are going to rally like our obelisk and then break it around midway and then use those troops somewhere in the field to try to take a structure or something. I was also tasked with rallying the center outpost for the enemy side. So it's just the one in the middle, and I do have Attila Takeda. I did not do a speed march here. And as you can see right now, I'm getting to this outpost and thinking this is probably not going to work well. So you can see I'm kind of like going back and forth on my screen. I'm like, what the, I don't know, we're going to die. Because you can only fill a rally here to 500,000 troops. And I'm looking at that ball of troops right there, and they've got probably somewhere in the realms of 1.2 million-ish. If not like 1.5 million that's going to be coming at me. So I'm like, okay, no. I go ahead and cancel that real quick. Let Agent know who was in my rally, and then we just kind of make our way back here to the center to start thinking about the ARC a little bit. A little premature to be thinking about the ARC. We thought that they might have some more troops up here at first. So we maybe went a little too early here, but we were able to actually drag. One good thing about this rally is we were able to drag this guy in around the ARC, and then we've got him very, very clearly outnumbered here, and we're able to do some really early damage to him in terms of like needing to heal troops or whatever it might be, where it doesn't cost us too much because we've got double the amount of marches, maybe a little bit more, and we are ready to take this guy down real quick. And he keeps chasing, to the ARC, and I've got 4 marches there. Frank's got 5 marches there, I think. And we just go ahead and take this guy out real quick, and then we get back to playing some other types and some other structures, or some other parts of the game, not types. We're still, in the middle team trying to make something happen with the ARC eventually. But yeah, so this guy chased me back here for my rally that I broke, and Frank and I just go ahead and take him out real quick, which is great. Anytime you get an opportunity like this in ARC, you want to take it. We actually did have I had some leaders in my ear over Discord saying, you guys don't worry about those marches, don't worry about those marches, go to a structure, go to a structure. I kind of made the judgment call, like, look, this guy's out here alone, he's got all of his marches, we can swarm the heck out of him and do some early damage to this player where he, you know, is going to be at a disadvantage for the remainder of the game, which we've got 49 minutes, 50 minutes left. We got a vast majority of this match left, and I'd love to take out this guy's 5 marches right up front and have them get swarmed. I think I lost 1 march at that point. No, I didn't even lose a march right there. So that was a great move because we were able to swarm him. We had a 2-to-1 matchup basically. Took him down. He took some serious damage in terms of putting troops in the hospital, and then we're back to fighting at a structure. Then we're going back to a structure. Nothing's going on here in the middle at the ARK right now, so we're like, all right, let's go check out a structure. And like I said, people were in our ears like, hey, guys, we need help at this structure right now. And so we're kind of making our way over here to our desert altar where we do have an issue going on, and we'd like to help out if we can, and that's where we're headed. And one thing you guys notice as well, so if you look at my march, my marches on my right on the little mini march screen, I guess if you call it, it probably has a technical name. I don't know it. So I had my Seondak out there farming. Like I said, I don't normally farm, but I was tasked with farming this time, and my Seondak has all that equipment that came with that update like 6 months ago. So I have my Seondak Clio out there farming, and I've got her just bouncing around node to node to node, provisioning. And it's going to end up paying off in a big way for us and our team. We would have won without provisions, no lie, but our score just balloons when we start turning some of these things in. So keep an eye on her in my little mini commander map, or my commander list, or whatever, the thing on the right side of the screen where it shows all the commanders. Keep an eye on that, and you'll see like I every now and then will check in on my Seondak, move her to a new node and gather there, wait for her to have that little return icon going on her screen or on her commander, and then I'll go select another one and keep her going. I pull her in with probably about 52 minutes, so about 8 minutes left, I think. We'll see when I actually do, but I think there's about 8 minutes left when I eventually and finally let her come back. And so if you take a look here, we are over by the desert altar. So if you look at the mini map, we've got all of our structures on our side, and we're blue this round. Sorry if that's a little late. We are blue. We are the left side. They are red. The opponent is red. And on the right side of that mini map, up in the top right. But as you can see, we've got all of our structures and one of theirs. So we're doing well so far in terms of the points per minute. And if you take a look at the PPM, it's showing that we've got about a 2,000 point advantage right now. And that's just from points per minute. There's been no ARK captures yet. So we're doing a pretty good job of disrupting their points per minute and also securing ours and making sure we're not losing anything on our end as well. So far, so good. The beginning of this round, there was quite a bit of confusion because we normally are red. We're normally on the right side of the map. We're normally red. And then I don't know what happened, but there's a communication error where we're like, oh, going into this like 5 minutes before, we're like, oh, we're blue. We're on the left side this time. So we were all a little confused, but we started off pretty strong, and then we got ourselves together pretty quick as well, and we were able to do well. And so they've got, and so there we go, Seondak right there. And so, yeah, I'm just keeping her farming. Just every time I see that she's returning, click on her, go over to that, get her into another one ASAP. And like I said, it ends up paying off in a big way, and it's such a good thing to do in terms of ARK. It's definitely something that should be a part of every strategy out there. You know, we're probably about, I don't know how many exactly. I don't know. We're between like 2 and 5 marches for farming, I think, every round. And it just puts up a significant amount of points. It's really, really useful, especially because you don't necessarily need those marches to take and hold the structures, obviously, as we've done in the past. So very, very useful to do. It should be a part of any strategy, right? The game has multiple layers, and farming and provisioning is one of them. So you don't want to just throw that out and I'm sure there's some people out there that don't farm at all or don't provision at all throughout an ARC match, but they put it in there to kind of be a difference maker, and you don't want to be on the bad end of that difference maker, right? So, if you lose a match by 2,000 points and the enemy had 2,000 or 3,000 provisioning points, that's why they beat you, right? So you don't ever want to be on the bad end of that. They throw it into this game to have that extra element to make you try to figure that out in terms of planning and actual management. So we think it's a crucial part to at least dedicate some troops for in any ARC match. So we have an issue here. It's our Shrine of War, and there's quite a few marches coming. We don't have any field presence at all here. So we've got an issue. They've got quite a bit of marches right there coming back from the ARC. As you can see, they just took the ARC, and they do have a brief lead right now. So they captured the ARC. They're at 89.05. We're at 84.53. So they've got a pretty decent lead with that ARC that they just captured. But if you take another look at the mini map, we have their desert altar. We are fighting at their what is that? Sky altar. We're fighting at their sky altar. We're fighting at our sky altar right now. So we've still got a slight advantage here on points per minute. So they did get the ARC and took the lead briefly, but as you can see, those points per minute are clawing back for us right now. 88.58 to 91.93, 89.09 to 91. So we're coming back. The points per minute is huge in this game. If they can turn the tide right here and maybe get some points per minute, that would be a game changer for them. Good for us. It's not what happens. But again, it's the points per minute is a huge way and a huge thing you have to focus on. And what that means is basically focus on taking and holding your structures. That's how we win these matches. So another Xiandok. I'm just keeping her going. And it gets a little complicated if you've got some stuff in the field and you're clicking, march with all, like that screen right there. It can get a little complicated because a couple times I told Xiandok to come kill somebody, even though she's just got T1 Siege that she's marching around with. And then I would realize it and be like, I need her farming. So that was my first time farming actually for like a full-time march in an ARC. So I definitely learned a lot and I need some more practice, but it was kind of a good time in a weird way because it was so different. And it definitely made a difference in the score, so it was cool. Yep, okay. And so we took back the Shrine of War, so that's good. And then if you check out the mini map on the top right, so we've got all of our structures +1, again, +2. We just took their sky altar. So we're just doing really well in terms of holding our own structures and taking theirs. And they're obviously doing well. They've 1 for 1. They've got 100% of the arcs at this point. We've got about 4.5 minutes until the next one. So they're doing a great job with the center game and with taking the arc and making their presence felt in the middle of the map. We are just doing a really good job of making our presence felt at their structures, which is our strategy for ARC. If you guys have watched our other videos, we play the structures game. So we're always trying to take and hold our own structures and then put pressure and take theirs and hold those for as long as possible. We do understand how difficult it is to take and hold an enemy structure on the enemy side of the map. But what the big thing is disrupting their points per minute. So there is that buffer where if you lose a structure and retake it, you've got to wait the 3 minutes for it to start counting in your points per minute again. So disrupting their points is huge. We understand we're not going to hold their structures for the whole game. It's happened before. We've had matches, where we take their obelisk and we pour it on their side and it's game over. But it doesn't happen when you're kind of playing with a decent, at least, team. And again, they do a really good job of having field presence. They've got just marches everywhere all the time. From what I remember, they had the right rallies coming in. We just did a little bit better in terms of having more people where they needed to be, having the right garrison commanders, right place, right time kind of thing. So. And there it was again. So she was returning. I had her mixed up with all my other marches. It's definitely complicated. I'll do better next time for sure. But having that one march that is farming is definitely more complicated for sure. It was fun though. You can see in the mini map on the top right, bunch of stuff flashing right now. We've got our sky altar flashing, their desert altar flashing. They're Shrine of Life flashing. They're Shrine of War flashing. We've got battles going on everywhere on the screen right now. And so I got a little caught up here. They came in at our Desert Altar pretty hard in terms of field. I had a few marches I thought I could help out with, and I couldn't. So I get sandwiched right here. So I've got 3 marches that are pretty full. They bring people from the middle. They bring people from the Desert Altar. I get sandwiched. I get burned right here. So it happens, especially when you're on the middle team and you're kind of going back and forth between the left side of the map, the right side of the map, or the top and the bottom, or whatever you want to call it. Thinking about the arc, moving just all over the place, it's really easy to get sandwiched, and I'm not gonna, I wasn't mad about it. Was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to march back here and refresh all these, but it is part of the game. It's part of being on the middle team, and this actually leads to me being able to port up finally. So everything happens for a reason. It's never fun getting swarmed down by like 20 marches when you have 3. But it is what it is. This is another arc. So they're doing a really good job. You can just see how many more marches they have there than us. So they do a really, really good job with getting a good chunk of their players up to take the arc throughout the match. And so, I mean, yeah, we stall them here for a minute, but it doesn't really do anything. They end up with this arc anyways. Yeah. And then, so I'm kind of fighting an Aether Flip back there, just trying to do some damage. They've got the arc. They've got the field presence. At this point, I don't know. I could have tried to go for the arc holder, but I was just kind of thinking, let me do some damage. Let my march go down, and then let me refresh this stuff and get back to it when I can have full marches and reposition myself in a more valuable position. Let's see. Okay, and so I'm kind of realizing now, like, oh, I can port. So let me get Seondok back real quick, and then let me port when both of these marches return. So again, me getting pancaked was not the end of the world, because if I didn't, I probably would have had some slow marches out there to get somewhere where I could port. But that kind of gave me the cue, like, okay, hey, your middle team, you weren't supposed to port early, but now's a good time to port. So I'm able to position myself, get Seondok in, wait for about 10, 15 seconds where Guan gets back to the city, and then port, and my life gets a lot easier in terms of fighting. So that's nice. And if you can just check in here, so we've got, again, the points per minute. We have not taken a single arc yet. We've got 16-5. They've got 12, 1, 12-2. So we've got a great lead here at this point. What is that, 4,400-ish? Yep. And it's going well for us in terms of the structure game. They do have the arc right now, from what I think, and I think they're about to put some points up on the board. We are about halfway through the match, and it's still pretty close. Again, you can just see, like, over time, we've gotten, more points per minute. We've definitely been taking that lead on the points per minute front, but every time they've gotten that arc, they've come right up behind us, and it's still a match right here. And I'm back to farming, get Seondok out real quick, and then I want to get my marches back in the field as well. And so we've got a big battle going on there. Yeah. So my main marches are Attila Takeda, Guan Leo, Ramesses YSG, and then a Charles Eulogy for now, until I've got Caesar Max, which will be somewhat soon here. He is a 5-1-4-5, so he's getting kind of close. And then sometimes I'll do Aethel Fled El Cid. I'm thinking I'll probably do Alex and Caesar. No, I'm not sure yet. I got to think about that a little bit in terms of what I'll use in Arc actually, because Caesar will be max soon and Alex will be max kind of soon. So I've got to really consider, okay, what should I do with all those commanders in Arc, kind of thing. And so again, the mini map, we've got all of our side held secure, and we've got 3 structures on their side blinking. So they did capture that arc finally. It wasn't enough to tie us like it was last time or overtake us like it was last time. So we've got 18,178 and they're at 16,755. So it's we've still got the PPM here. Their arc captures are still not enough right now to overtake us. So it's starting to lean our way here. Again, it's been pretty neck and neck up until about minute 27, so like 45 seconds ago in the match. It was pretty even, but once they put that arc in and they still didn't catch our score because we just had that much more on a points per minute, it started to lean pretty heavily towards us or pretty favorably towards us, just because we knew, okay, we're dominating points per minute. If we're able to stop one or even capture one of these arcs, it's definitely game over kind of thing. And so here I was able to get into the field on the top side of the battleground and try to help out with this structure take here. I don't think we get it. They've got a really, really good field presence once again. They did a really good job. I think we were just a little bit better, and a little bit better in Ark of Osiris makes the difference, right? They did a really good job of having troops, at least where I was, anytime in the match. I am the middle team, so I'm kind of supposed to go where we're struggling or where we need help. So that makes sense, but they did a really good job, especially at the arc stuff. So, and there we go again. I'm refreshing that gathering, getting her out there. I'm trying to send her a little bit farther this time because I don't want her to return to the city yet. I don't want to show how many points we've gotten in gathering, so I'm going to keep her rolling. It also saves time, obviously, for like transportation and walking time, so she can just continue to stay closer to those resources, gather them, or those provisions and gather them, rather than going provision gather city, provision gather city. So it's just faster, and it kind of holds your cards hidden a little bit as well. So that's kind of nice. And so score check here, we're closing in on 20,000. They're at 17,365. So we've got a really comfortable lead here. The next arc is not for 4 minutes, so 23 minutes left. We're looking at one, maybe 2 arcs. I think maybe there's 2 arcs left here. I don't think it actually gets there, but we're looking at 1, maybe 2, and we've got a clear points per minute differential here where we are doing very, very well. So again, it's starting to lean more and more towards us as the time goes on, because points per minute, you play more minutes, it's a bigger difference in terms of score. Yep, and our lead continues to grow here. And so I'm starting to get my marches over here to the middle. I think at this point we do want to attempt to take the middle. And so we're actually going to get some support from one of the sides, actually both sides. We have people from the bottom and people from the top coming to help us fight for this arc. This is one where we definitely wanted to make an effort for it. My Attila is much faster than my other stuff, and I got him out there earlier as well. So gonna have him take a breather, gather a provision or 2 for a moment, and then get my marches more together, and then get him over here. Then I kind of realized, okay, everybody else is making their way over there. Let's just get over there ASAP and get some fighting in. We use Swift Stride right there. And so we are cruising into the middle to try to make a play on this arc. So, right, the whole game so far, we've just been focused on structures. We've got the point per minute advantage. It's 23,450 to 18,400. We've got a really, really good advantage right now. We're starting to turn in some of our provisions as well, which is helping us create that gap, or that bigger and bigger gap. Now we're going to make a play for the arc. We've got 19 minutes left, 20 minutes left-ish. We've got some decent people, some decent time to get organized for this, and we're going to make a play for this arc right here. And it gets pretty dang laggy right now. The middle is intense. It's just laggy. There's just everybody open field. There's no structure. There's no it's just a ton of marches hitting each other. Bunch of AoE, bunch of skills are being popped. It's just bananas. So there's definitely a little bit of lag. I apologize about that. But it's kind of how ARK is in the middle. It's chaotic in the middle every time. And so one thing that I like to do, I know you've seen me do this basically throughout the entire match, but really clutch here is to click a march that you want to hit and then hit march all there. So it's kind of difficult sometimes when there's so much going on the screen. And here you see me struggling trying to get my marches to do something, just because the game is just freaking out. It's going nuts. There's so much stuff going on. And so I finally get them all selected and say, okay, I'm just going to bring them down to a more relevant position that might make this a little bit easier. And one thing that I told leadership as well that was not helpful was all of these markers. I don't know if you guys can see all these markers, but I got the moon marker, the star marker, the yellow diamond marker, the purple diamond marker, the sun marker. So there's just markers everywhere on my screen, which doesn't really help. It definitely helps people understand where they're supposed to be in the beginning of the match, but it makes it a little more difficult to click stuff when you're in a fight and the game's lagging a little bit. So I gave that feedback to them. We're going to try to start with the markers, but then remove them as the match gets into, its later stages. And again, it's just chaos in the middle, and I'm just trying to get my guys to do something. Finally was able to find a good march to click on and hit, and I'm just trying to take them down. Always, want to target the arc holder if they have it. If the enemy has it, you want to hit that arc holder ASAP. If not, just try to find something that's going to go down pretty quick. So I'm looking to hit, YSGs, Aethelfleds, my Saladins, probably, Motos, Khans, and then save, the tankier ones for last when we can all group up on them, like the Richards and the Charles and stuff like that. I'll pretty much always go for an Aethelfled first, unless I see an Archer. So I see an Edward there, and I think I probably try to hit it. I also think Khan's a little squishy, so I go for Khan a lot too. But either way, always go for the arc holder first, and then just, whatever you can. Probably skip the tanky ones, the Richards, the Charles, stuff like that. But then go for, the big AoE damage doers like YSG or Aethelfled or something like that. And so if you take a look at the top here, I know there's a lot going on in the screen in terms of the fight, but we've got 28,300. They've got 20,500. So our lead continues to grow here for a couple of reasons. One, we've held our structures nonetheless. We've got this fight going on in the middle, but we're also holding our structures. So our points per minute has remained consistent for almost the entire match right now. And then not only that, but we are starting to turn in some of our provisions. I'm not, so I haven't let my Seondeok return yet, but other people have started to let theirs return to start throwing in some extra points. And so there we go. It was a chaotic, kind of drawn out battle, but we're starting to move the arc in our direction over to our structure so that we can get it turned in and get a ton of points. Finally. It's always how it is. I mean, unless it's uncontested, like the first couple that they got against us, they weren't, I don't want to say uncontested because we were there trying a little bit, but super easy. They go, they capture it, they walk it back to their structure. When two teams are trying for the arc, that's what it looks like. It's a big CF, if you know what I'm saying. chaos for a few minutes or maybe more, maybe 10 minutes. And then finally the group starts to move in one direction. Then it stops again, as you see here. So it stops again for a couple minutes while we fight it out a little bit more. Then we'll move again, and finally it'll kind of smoothly make its way to a structure. But when two teams are going for it and everybody's got a bunch of marches, a bunch of AoE out there, one, the lag is undeniable. There's nothing we can do about it. Two, it's just chaos. And three, nothing really happens. It's just a bunch of stuff going on the screen. And then finally it'll move one way. All of a sudden the arc will move one direction, and it's really hard to reverse that direction. So if you're ever in that situation, it's tough. But for this time, it looks like we had taken kind of the field there. We had more marches, yada, yada, and we were able to move it in our direction and start kind of slowly but surely getting it back to a structure. And so, again, they did a really good job. I mean, yeah, they just did a great job in terms of having the field presence. I think what we did a little bit better was definitely holding our own structures, so we didn't have point disruption. I mean, they came at us pretty hard, but we were really good at holding our structures. They obviously did a really good job of getting the arc early on, and we did a good job of holding our own structures early on. So that was kind of the difference of theory. We want to hold our structures, and they wanted to go for arc. And then just at a certain point, our lead just becomes too much for them to overcome. We're at 32,463. They're at 22,500. So we got a 10,000 point lead right here. An arc's not worth that much. Provisions maybe if they had a ton of marches out provisioning the whole time. But at the end of the day, we just played a little bit better in quite a few areas, and that led to the victory that we have going on here. And so there, we're making our way. We're still not to a structure with that arc yet. And we're still just kind of taking out whatever marches they send at us. At this point, it's kind of a trickle in. So they're hitting us with maybe one. There's quite a few. They're already kind of weakened, though. So they're coming in with like 5 weak marches that are almost dead anyways. And we're just taking them out one by one. We're moving kind of slowly, but we are getting to our structure to turn in that arc. So once that hits, you'll see the score kind of explode for us. Yep, and we're getting there. And if you take a look at the mini map again, so they actually have our Shrine of Life right now, which is great for them to take that in the late stages. It's just a little too late to start getting any kind of reward for doing that. As you can see, we're fighting at our Desert Altar, what is that? Our Sky Altar. Our Shrine of Life is taken by them. We have their Sky Altar, but it's flashing. They're taking it back. So their obelisk is flashing on the bottom side. So, I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff going on here that they are starting to kind of do some stuff with structures, but it's just too late at this point, We've got a 15,000 point lead right now. It's just too late. It's just too late. Our provisioning scores are coming back. My Seondok's coming back. Let's see if I let her return right here. We got 7 minutes left, and she's getting close. Nope, I send her for one more. Risky business. Risky business. We've got some good fighting going on here. They're coming at our obelisk. They figured, okay, we just sent everything over here to try to stop this arc. Let's try to take their obelisk real quick. So they're trying to do that, and it's just we've got all of our cities there. It's just not happening, unfortunately. It's really tough to fight in those circumstances where you're surrounded by the enemies and their cities without having that structure to put some stuff into, or like many more marches. So at this point in the game, it's too late. I mean, we had the points per minute early. They had the arcs early, but then we were able to kind of keep the points per minute and then also grab an arc. So it's just too late. So right now they have our Desert Altar. We're kind of clearing things out here by our obelisk on the top side. I wanted to rally a city, so I went ahead and did that. Diesel's got some stuff going on too. People were asking me like, all right, what are you rallying? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, being on the middle team was fun. I had a great time, but I miss rallying something with Attila Takeda. It is a blast. So I figured, all right, I'll rally a city and just get it in before the end of the game, which I actually don't. We do something fancy here at the end, just for fun, but it was good practice, honestly, to be like, okay, let's do this, and just see if we can take the structure real quick, which is what you'll see right here. I noticed just some of their random marches, out in the field. So I'm like, okay, I'll try to take that out. Anything I see right now, I'm just trying to get some extra points. I'm over the 10,000 points, but I'm figuring, okay, let me just throw in any cherries on top that I can. We've got 3 minutes left. We've got a significant lead at this point. We're looking at almost 20,000 points here. So provisions, there's 20,000 points right there. Provisions are coming back. My provisions finally just hit. That's what that was, actually. We've got rallies going. They've got rallies going. We're all just throwing up whatever we can here to make sure that we as individuals have the most points possible. At this point, our team has won. It's kind of coming to an end. But any players that don't have that 10,000 points yet, want to get those to make sure that they get the full rewards. Whether they're winners or losers, you do get legendary sculpts for this, but you got to have the 10,000 points. So you got to make sure you've got those. Most of them are going to come from kill points, so that's basically what you're going for here at the end. And again, so we broke this rally, right? And we were going to hit a city for fun, but we're like, wait, why don't we try to get the Sky Altar? We'll just swarm it down. And so we all had multiple rallies going over to their side. And we're like, all right, everybody break them. We'll just take the Sky Altar real quick. And we actually do. We've got 90 seconds left here in the game, and it's kind of a toss-up. Can we take it or not? But we actually do it pretty quickly here. Yep. And so we took it. And then we're just going to fight some extra stuff in the field. So that's pretty much the match. As you can see, the counter up top, we got 50 seconds left. The score right now is 47,280 to 25,784. So again, it was really close until about 30 minutes in. And then from that kind of 29 minute mark left to go in the match, we just really took off. We got that arc, our points per minute went up, our provisions started coming back in. So we just did a really good job in the second half of the match here, and that showed in the way that our score kind of separated, and we won this one. Just some highlights. So, provision score for our team, 12,000. So that is huge. We had 12,000 points just from provisioning alone, which is huge. That is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Wanted to show you guys this match. We are on a 6-win streak right now, so we are killing it. Thank you guys all so much for the support. And if you like this stuff, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. Drop a comment below if you like watching us in ARK, and have a good night.